order the meeting of the Oregon City Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee for March 28th, 2024. We'd like to start with introductions.
Recording in progress.
Do I have to start over?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. We have a couple people that are on the committee that are on Zoom, and then the three of us that are present. My name's Ken Worcester. I'm the vice chair.
Tim Lanehart, just member of the board or member of the committee.
Joyce Gifford, PRAC member.
Steve Williams, distant chair.
Emily, member.
Erin McClellan, member.
And Joey.
Joey Knopf, also member of the committee.
Okay. Great, thank you. Our first item on the agenda is to approval of the minutes, and so we have two sets of minutes to approve. The first one is from February 22nd, so I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes from February 22nd.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, so roll call, please.
Erin McClellan.
Yes.
Joey Knopf.
Yes.
Steve Williams.
Yes.
Emily Lisborg.
Yes.
Joyce Gifford.
Yes.
Ken Worcester.
Yes.
Tim Lanehart.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the second set of minutes is from the work session of December 22nd, 2023. The little typo there.
Is it 20?
Do we have a copy of those with us?
Yes. This was the interviews.
That we just had, right?
No, this is the prior year after an
I'm
audit.
sorry. Well,
After an audit from the city recorder.
Oh,
This happened to be
gotcha.
one that
Okay,
they were
well, I
missing.
apologize.
No worries.
Changed that back to a two. Then.
Yeah, no worries.
Anybody remember the meeting of? No, it's
There
just
was
a formality
only a couple of you
because it
there.
was just an interviews of PRAC members. So again, I will accept a motion to approve those minutes, please.
Motion
I so move that we approve the minutes from December.
seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please take roll.
Emily Lisborg.
Yes.
Erin McClellan.
Yes.
Joey Knopf.
Yes.
Steve Williams.
Yes.
Joyce Gifford.
Yes.
Ken Worcester.
Yes.
And Tim Lanehart.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, excuse me. We are ready for some public comment. So we have a few people. The first topic is the Clackamette RV park. So
The three public comments listed here are in the form of letters.
Okay.
So those will be in your agenda packet.
okay, so I did read those.
Yes.
Okay.
Can they be read so the rest of us can hear?
Yeah, I would.
Sure. I'm fine with it if it's okay. I'm not sure I'm the best one to read them out loud, but if somebody else wants to, would that be all
Which
right?
one of those?
Well, the public
it's this
comments
one,
for the
yeah.
cove.
From
Where's
Christina Franklin.
not
Yeah.
seeing a public comment for the.
That's good. It was Christina.
I'll read it if that's okay with the
Okay, yeah,
committee.
that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, so this is a public comment letter that we got from Christina L. Franklin, March 25th, 2024. Dear members of the City Commission, Urban Renewal Commission, and Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, I am a citizen of Oregon City and have proudly called Oregon City my home since 1998. I'm just a plain old citizen without ties to the business, hospitality, tourism, or development industries in our town. Because I love my city, I stay informed by watching every meeting on the city's YouTube channel. I find it interesting how much time has been spent discussing the RV park at Clackamette Park, and now the discussion has rolled into two commissions and one advisory committee. While I don't understand why there is so much discussion about a 20 to 30-ish space RV park, I wanted to use the opportunity to bring some thoughts and ideas to the discussion. Regarding the RV park, during the process of drafting the Clackamette Park Master Plan, the feedback from the citizens was that the RV park was a lower priority use of the park. There was much more interest in relocating the boat ramp in the master plan document than there was about the RV park, yet the recent discussions during the city meetings has disproportionately been about the RV park. Does the RV park make money or lose money? Does it benefit the citizens or only those who live out of town? Does it promote tourism? Yes or no? Does this city want to be in the RV park business? Yes or no? There doesn't seem to be any clear answer to any of these questions. Meanwhile, big decisions are being proposed, discussed, and are soon to be made. The discussion has now morphed into Clackamette Cove without much citizen involvement. In my dream Oregon City, Clackamette Cove is an extension of Clackamette Park. This could be a jewel for the city, like Drake Park is to Ashland, Mingus Park is to Coos Bay, or Lithia Park is to Bend. If done well, Clackamette Cove and Park could be a destination that would drive tourism all by itself while also being a beautiful asset to the citizens. A RV park benefits the few who own RVs. Condos built around the cove benefit the developers, real estate agents, and those wealthy enough to buy luxury waterfront units. A business district around the cove benefits developers and, parentheses, most likely, and parentheses, corporate chain restaurants and retail boards of directors. A park for the people benefits the people. Thank you for your time and your contributions to make Oregon City the beautiful city that I love. I will continue to follow along YouTube. Sincerely, Christina L. Franklin.
Thank you. Okay, excuse me. The next topic is the Hillendale Pickleball Court. And I have a Emily, is it Brault? Bro, okay, thank you. It did,
Do I come up here?
Yes.
And then-
yes. Just your name and,
My name is Emily Bro. I've been a resident in Oregon City for 19 years and 8 months. I'm here on behalf of Hillendale Pickleball Club. I'm their current secretary of the board. We register every year as a nonprofit 501c with the state and are in good standing. The 23-24 pickleball season just is coming to an end now. We had just over 200 members. So I just want to let y'all know that we're still around. We also want you to know that we support a multi-court use on those pickleball courts. That's not uncommon that we have basketball game going on while we're playing pickleball, or we show up and somebody's playing tennis and we set up our courts in a way so that they can continue to play tennis and we can play pickleball. We're also committed to inclusive play, meaning we welcome newbies who have never played before, as well as more competitive people who like more competitive game. On our average morning when we play, we have one novice court and usually one competitive court. And then most of the rest of the courts are mixed court use so that everybody's playing with each other and having a good time. I started playing probably about 6 years ago, and I've met more neighbors and friends through that organization than I have in any other Oregon City thing that I've been involved in. It's a really great community of people. If the city wants to invest in the pickleball courts over there by Hillendale, the courts need repair. They're cracking. And in order for the courts to be fixed, the perimeter to the courts needs to be reinforced so that the cracks don't continue to get larger. And so the court will actually stay in place and we can fix the cracks. Hillendale Pickleball Club is willing to help in any way to make this happen. We are glad to help raise money for the cause, to help collect bids for what needs to take place. We want to work with the city. We are here to support pickleball in our city, support the community and the camaraderie and the care and the well-being that results from people getting together and playing. So that's my pitch. Thank you for listening.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have Mr. Pat Wong.
Good evening. My name is Pat Wong. I've lived in Oregon City, Redland area for 33 years. I just got involved in pickleball about 5 years ago. And I played tennis before, played basketball before, but for me as an active person, but being a senior, I've really enjoyed playing pickleball. I think my main emphasis is I've gotten to meet a lot of people. You've heard we have 200 members. I haven't met them all, but I have a list of those names. If I'm really, really eager to play, I might pick one of those because I have their number. My support would be for what Emily shared with you, and I will become the new president starting in 24-25. And the emphasis that I would like to make is it's a social time, getting to meet new people. I've met 6 new people in the month of March that has wanted to sign up for a club. Even going to the point and saying, you don't have to pay your $20 now, pay it in May when you can start your whole new year instead of paying for it in April. Encouraging them. I noticed that when I look on pickleball, there are some clubs that have a lot of members sign up, but there are those days that are rainy, and our club members don't sign up when it's rainy, but we have had people come when it's rainy and drizzly. And so there are people that will play in the rain, but we're not signing up like 25 people because it's just raining. The other thing I would support is the courts. They need to be fixed, and we would like to put our support toward that first and foremost, so that we don't have to go back and fix anything and spend money twice. So thank you very much for listening.
Good, thank you. We also have some letters that were submitted, and if Tim, if you would be so kind, I would appreciate it.
I'm happy to read as well. I wanted to point out that there is a letter that we got this afternoon that did not make it onto the agenda, but it is at the back of your packet. So that is included. It just didn't get attached to the agenda. They were already all printed, so.
So would you like to alternate, or would you want?
If Corey's volunteering, I'm not going to stop her. I
Okay,
mean,
no, that'd be great.
I can
I
read
did my
any
best at
letter.
reading voice, but I think she's
lot
going
of
to be
words.
Yeah, you did really well, way better than I could have, so appreciate it.
Okay, so this is to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board from Robert Small and Rita Maynard. They are the current presidents and co-founders of the Hillendale Pickleball Club 2014 regarding the Hillendale court improvements. To address the confusion about the status of the Hillendale Pickleball Club, the club has 200 members in 23-24 and is registered with the state of Oregon as a 501c nonprofit organization. We file yearly, have officers, and comply with the state's 501c requirements. We take pride in being ambassadors to the sport of pickleball and promote recreational play for all skill levels. Hillendale Pickleball Club welcomes beginners and teaches the sport. The courts provide an opportunity for seniors to be social. An AED has been purchased and is available for our playtimes. The club also provides a porta potty. We are able to provide the play to do during our designated times due to the club's many volunteers. Presently, we are meeting with Oregon City to find ways to be collaborative, potentially holding teaching sessions on the courts and at city events. Having a family member for residents available is also on the table. The club meets with neighborhood associations to encourage use of the courts. When we initially created the courts with grants from Metro and CCP, we were able to create a multi-use sport court for tennis, basketball, and pickleball. Our funds were not sufficient to shore up the perimeter, which needed repair to keep the courts from cracking. Presently, there are significant cracks which are widening. Through consultation with contractors, we were informed that the courts would be unplayable if repairs were not done. These are costly repairs. Estimates have been around $20,000. Hillendale Pickleball Club is invested in having these repairs made. We are prepared to have a fundraiser to offset a significant portion of the cost of repairs. While permanent nets have their advantages, it is the opinion of the Hillendale Pickleball Board that at this time, any investment in Hillendale courts should be done to reinforce the perimeter and repair the existing cracks. This perimeter repair would prevent future cracks and the current cracks from expanding. Thank you for considering our concerns. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Kindly, Robert Small and Rita Maynard, Hillendale Pickleball Club presidents.
Thank you. One more.
This is a long one. It doesn't
Good
actually.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your cruise director, Just a quick reminder, in 15 minutes, we'll have our show, Dan Delgado in the Princess Theater. Do not miss Jump, Jive, and Wail, presenting his biggest musical influences.
Put it on mute.
So Tim West has joined us. So he's as a PRAC member, just to, so that it's in the minutes that Tim has joined us tonight.
Okay, Hillendale Pickleball Club community response. At the previous, this is the one that is not listed on your agenda currently, and it doesn't, I'll have to look at the email and find out the name that sent it to me, I don't recall. At the previous Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting, the Hillendale Pickleball Club submitted comments as part of Oregon City community outreach process. It remains unclear from the public record that these comments were put into the public record, nor is it clear that all members of the advisory board were provided these copies. We request that our prior comments be made part of the public record and that all members of the advisory board receive these comments. Possibly because our comments were not made available, a number of statements and assertions were made as part of the committee's deliberation that appear to be in error. These comments, which we also request be made part of the public record and provided to all advisory board members, seek to clarify some of the confusion. 1, the Hillendale Pickleball Club is registered with the state of Oregon as a 501c nonprofit organization. We meet all mandatory filing requirements, have officers, and comply with the requirements. We completed the 23-24 season with just over 200 members. 2, HD Club supports multi-court use. The current courts exist because the club initiated and wrote the grant to Metro with the city's endorsement. With the Metro grant monies, we constructed the courts and with club funds have maintained and made enhancements over the years, including wind screens, the bleacher area, a porta potty, an AED machine, and minor crack repair. 3, when the courts were created, the club made a decision to be inclusive, and thus the tennis and basketball areas were preserved. Since the courts are first come, first serve, we often set our nets up respecting the courts in use by families playing either tennis or basketball. At no time do we deny anyone access to the courts. We provide nets and balls and loaner paddles for anyone who shows up. We also provide introductory instruction to the game for novices. As with most pickleball venues, the club monitors a paddle queue. Paddles are placed in a designated area, and players rotate on and off of the courts based on their place in the queue. Club members voluntarily abide by a 2 games off and on and off rotation system. 4, our mission statement is to be ambassadors to the sport and promote the play of all on the courts. To this end, all of our scheduled times welcomes all levels of play. We set up novice courts to teach the sport and have 2 challenge courts for advanced players. The majority of the courts are mixed play. This provides the widest range of play as a characteristic of recreational pickleball. This approach does generate some tension as there is a growing portion of the Portland pickleball community that seeks competitive play. This includes tournaments, drilling, and a level of play that is unsuited for players with a skill rating below 3.5. Each local pickleball venue addresses this dynamic differently. Those who have exclusive use of public venues can schedule by skill groups. Lake Oswego, Tualatin, and Wilsonville, to name a few, have periods set aside for advanced competitive play. Others, like Gladstone and Hillendale, dedicate 2 of 8 courts for competitive play. This frequently results in competitive players having longer wait times than recreational players. 5, the club provides services and benefits that cannot be duplicated in a cost-effective manner by the city. Without the social network of the club, the Oregon City community would receive fewer benefits since the vacuum created by not having a structure in place to determine recreational versus competitive play. A porta potty, an online scheduler, access to balls and nets, social interaction, and court maintenance would result in lower usage, higher crime, parentheses, while the courts and club usage have reduced vandalism, it has not eliminated it. With 30 or more adults occupying this public space most summer mornings, neighbors have reported that the park is more friendly, safer, cleaner, and more enjoyable, be it walkers, dog walkers, or other uses. Less structure means fewer pickleball tourists. Parentheses, we estimate about half of the summer play at Hillendale are day tourists who would not come to Oregon City or shop in Oregon City otherwise. Other venues without a host club suffer from all of the above issues. 6, the original Hillendale courts were built based on the limitations of the Metro grant. The lack of sufficient initial resources are now creating a crisis for the courts. The courts need to be edged with rebar, reinforced concrete on all sides. If not, existing cracks will grow more quickly, and edge sloughing will ultimately make all of the courts unplayable. A recent estimate from 2 contractors places the cost around $25,000 to $30,000. This makes spending money on permanent nets seem short-sighted. The first priority must be to protect the initial investment and maintain the playability of the courts. Were the city to allocate the costs of permanent nets to edging the club, would be prepared to partner with the city to get this job done. The next priority would be to get the existing cracks in the playing surface professionally repaired. After this, parking in an actual restroom adjunct to the courts would make the venue more attractive. It is the opinion of Hillendale Pickleball Club that rather than invest in moving the basketball courts or eliminating tennis, the priority at this time should be given to repairing the courts rather than permanent nets. We also strongly request support for our club structured 3 to 4 hours per day times for mixed recreation play, open to all Oregon City residents. As the weather improves, we invite all members of the advisory board to come to Hillendale to experience the pickleball experience. You can see weather updated play times on the app Playtime Scheduler.
Was there any name associated with this, or was this from the pickleball board?
Correct, thank you. William Street is who sent it to me. He does not say that he wrote it, but he was the sender. He wrote it. Okay.
And then I see one more.
Yes.
Would you like me to read?
Sure, you're welcome to.
This is from Davis Kyle to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. I am writing to express my enthusiastic support for the installation of permanent pickleball nets at Hillendale Park. As an avid pickleball player and a resident of the community, I believe that providing permanent pickleball facilities in our local park would be a valuable addition to our recreational amenities. Pickleball is a rapidly growing sport that appeals to individuals of all ages and skill levels. It promotes physical activity, social interaction, and healthy competition. By establishing permanent pickleball courts at Hillendale Park, we would not only cater to the existing pickleball community, but also encourage more people to discover and enjoy this wonderful sport. Having permanent nets would eliminate the need for temporary setups, which can be inconvenient and time-consuming. It would also demonstrate the city's commitment to promoting recreational opportunities for its residents and visitors. Additionally, permanent pickleball courts could potentially attract tournaments and events, bringing economic benefits to local businesses and fostering a sense of community pride. Furthermore, pickleball is a low-impact sport that can be enjoyed by people of all ages and abilities. By providing accessible and inclusive recreational facilities like permanent pickleball courts, we can promote health and wellness for everyone in our community. In conclusion, I urge you to consider the installation of permanent pickleball nets at Hillendale Park. This investment would enhance our community's quality of life, promote physical activity, and create opportunities for social engagement. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I look forward to seeing the positive impact that permanent pickleball facilities can bring to our neighborhood. Sincerely, Davis Kyle.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the public comments. Kendall, is there any update that we could actually give people? I mean, if it's my understanding that we are really just starting to accept public comments and response, and it looks like probably there's a fairly varied opinion, but also the potential of something that's even, you know, when you start talking about permanent restrooms and those types of things, I mean, that changes the scope, but it makes sense to do it all at once, at least get the planning part of that out of the way, if I'm understanding this. And then the resolving permanent nets versus whatever. I mean, the goal would be to fix the courts, install nets, build a restroom, and make it a really nice place, I think. Yeah. But that comes with making sure that the neighbors are good with it and the money's available and lots of other things. But I appreciate everybody's comments and. Tim has raised his hand. Okay. And that we'll move from there. And we do have Mr. West who would like to speak.
Thank you very much. I have to make one thing very clear, is that this proposal for permanent nets, it has nothing against the club, nothing against the club. This is all about the general public and creating more opportunities for people to be able to play pickleball in Oregon City. Most of the time, the club is not playing at Hillendale, and it's an empty court, and nobody's doing anything there. So to have permanent nets where a person of the general public could go ahead and show up and play is a 200% increase over what's happening right now. Because if somebody shows up after work and wants to play in Oregon City, they can't unless they have their own nets, and very few people have their own nets. And in fact, on this Saturday, on Playtime Scheduler, there's only 5 people signed up in Oregon City, and they're only going to play probably about an hour and a half and then take down the nets and they're gone. All right. And this is something that with permanent nets, people could go there all day long on Saturday, which is supposed to be 63 degrees and sunny. And you'll see if you go on Playtime Scheduler that virtually every other bullet or bubble on the Playtime Scheduler has 2 to 10 times as many people signed up for Saturday. So we need a permanent net there so that the general public could go ahead and play anytime that they want, with or without the club. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're not going to take any action. This is just kind of the very beginning, and so I appreciate everybody's comments, and I'm sure it'll take a little bit. Yeah, I think you need to. Why don't you come up and speak, and then fill out the form later?
My name's Sherry Phillips, and I do live in the city of Oregon City, and I am with the Hillendale Pickleball Club. And one thing I want to correct what you hear from Tim, Hillendale Pickleball Club, just like Gladstone Pickleball Club, does not require people to sign up on Playtime Scheduler. So when he looks and says there's only 5 people playing, I guarantee you there will be more than 5 people playing on Saturday. We do not require it. It is it's there if people want to sign up, but I know at the Parks and Rec advisory meeting, he made a statement that he looked and there were only like 3 people that played on January 6th. Well, he didn't go on January 6th. I was there on January 6th, and we had 3 courts going. So Playtime Scheduler is not the way to decide whether the courts are being used or not. We do have someone that lives at the park, and if you wanted them to be monitoring it and give you more accurate information, that would be a better way to do it than using Playtime Scheduler.
Right. Okay, thank you. Would you please, we have a little comment form. If you could fill that out, I'd appreciate it. Okay, that concludes the public comment portion of our meeting, and I'd like to move into the... Sure. Would you please do the same thing? Come speak and then write your name down.
My name is Steve Baker. I
came to be involved with pickleball because my friend Pat and
Let me stop. You need to, the recording won't pick it all up, so. Start over.
I came because of the social interactions that I had. I know because I've been keeping track, I've been working on my physical fitness and so on, so I've been keeping a log that I've done. And so I played 21 times since January 15th. All of them have been at Hillendale. I've never seen Tim there. I come in, I register as they go, I play. And the thing that's most positive about it is everybody I've met, including yesterday, we went to go and the weather hit us the other way. But I know Tim was there one day. He came in with his son, right?
Oh, me, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I was there.
So we were there and he dropped in and said, hey, play, here's that, and work with the different ones. But the inclusiveness of, and the opportunity for people to drop in. I've never seen anybody play tennis there yet. I've seen them play, and like I said, I don't always play on Saturdays, but during the week, we played usually every time it's sunny. But the part that's important is that putting in, as Tim, I watched the meeting when he spoke about the 4 nets, you could put in 2 and still keep all the basketball, still keep the tennis. They would be at the right side where the basketball courts are, and they're only a loop in, so you could have the 2 that are there and still have that work. But the key for all this is that if the Hillendale Club was not there, if the members didn't come, that they can get access that. I've seen several times where people have brought their own nets. We said, hey, you can use these, you can play in the group. Oh, we're just learning, we brought them there. So they don't cost $200 or $300 to bring your own nets. You can get them as low as $69 and people use them in their backyard. They can use, people were there the other day and they were using the tennis to play. They're just trying to learn. The best thing that you can do is that you've got a group of 200 people that are committed. Like they said, they went out and got the money, they got the courts, they got the nets, they've done the capital improvements. You say, what better could you ask for? The city does not have the money to take care of those facilities like the club has done. The club still wants to have tournament play. They still want to have that. People drop in, if they drop in after work, who are those type of players? They have access to a drop box that has nets they can use, have balls that they can use, all those types of things. So I would encourage you to consider that an organized group that's made up of 200 strong is the way to go through, rather than someone coming in and say, hey, we want to promote this. We'll still promote tourism. We'll still promote the tournament play. We still have the challenge courts. All those things are there. There's only been one time of those 21 times that I've been there since January 15th that there's been players, and they did have 2 courts there, which are 8 players that were, you might say, 4.0. I've been relatively a beginner, so in the scale, I'm maybe a 3-point player. But you know what? If a 3.75 player comes there, a 4-point player, they join in with the rest of us and they play. And we get better and they help us out and they feel good about all that. So ask Tim what his experience was. That's what you get to see what the club is. It's a strong club. It's a club that's progressing in a positive manner, and it wants to have a facility that they can be proud of. And one other guy, he's not here tonight, but he lives pretty close to Oregon City High School. He mentioned that they had a new park that they put down below the high school. And one of the things when they first brought that in, they promised the community they were going to put pickleball courts in, and that did not happen. So I don't know how that fits in, but he wanted to make sure that that was mentioned, that, they set a commitment, we want to put those in, and that didn't happen. So wherever that's in that process, maybe some of that funding can
go to Hillendale to do those capital improvements that need to be made.
I didn't remember pickleball courts being in the Tyrone Woods master
was,
plan.
I don't know that. He
okay,
lives right down that neighborhood. And, huh?
Okay, so, yeah, just want to confirm that.
So that might be another thing. Like I said, he's in Bend this week, so.
Okay, well, we are in the process of doing a whole system master plan, and included in that is capital improvements programs and projects. And so I would encourage you all to pay attention to that and make sure that, your voices are heard, and hopefully that if it's in a master plan, that helps start triggering the funding and everything else. It does sound like it's a big enough project that there'll be a lot of study work planning to get through it. But I appreciate your comments, and we have one more park board or park committee member. And please leave your name for us. And Aaron?
Hi there. I just had a question from a reminder from last week or last month's meeting. We did make a motion, and I can't remember what it was from the minutes that we actually made a motion around the pickleball courts. I think it was something like recommend looking into something, and I just want to be refreshed on what that was.
If I recall right, it was looking into the cost of moving the basketball court over. Last month, the conversation was more not on us funding permanent nets, because that would be done by the third party. It was about moving a basketball court from one side to another so that permanent cost could be in there. And then I believe operations was going to look into that and get us estimates on the cost.
And also, I think if I remember right, it was to move forward with the kind of the public involvement part of the process. So
yes,
that's why you're here, and we appreciate it.
And that was the motion put forth by David Baum.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate that. So we're not making a motion today.
No, that's just, adds to the comment.
Yep. We just want to get this thing started and hopefully get everybody what they want. That's always hard, but it makes sense to study all of this. I have not heard about putting a border around a court for reinforcement. There's lots of other ways. But again, it's all just coming to us now. So we appreciate you people showing up and letting us know. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. You bet. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. We will move on with the business part of our meeting, and we have a presentation concerning the Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Nile Bott and Jason Elsalde. They're here from Next Practice Partners to provide an update on our Parks Master Plan. Nile?
Great. Thank you, everybody. Nice to be with you all again as well. I know you met Jason and myself. I apologize. I am actually, and Kendall knows this, I am on the start of my spring break trip with the kids, but this is really important. So we're actually at an airport. We just got there, but I want to get through this first and then we'll start the trip. So if there's any sound around me, I apologize in advance. Kendall, are you or Corey able to share the screen by any chance?
Yes. Do you want me to share your presentation that you sent me? You got it.
You read my mind, exactly. Thank you.
Here.
That's perfect. Thank you, Corey.
Yes.
If you, perfect. You're like one step ahead of me. I was going to say, can you move it to full screen? And you already did that. So thank you. Anyway, so again, for the community members as well, for the PRAC, members too, I've spoken to a number of you all already to share, the process and the findings. You've been to multiple meetings. So I want to quickly recap some of what we've heard and then share some major outcomes, etc. If you go to the next one, please, you see the high-level process, talked about where are we today, where do we want to go, how do we get there, and really a big part of that as you go forward is starting to think of this process on the next slide, please. in terms of the public input and the engagement as well. Now, a lot of it in person, online, as you see on the next slide, you will see the total number, over 700 participants in a variety of ways, in person, online, multiple public meetings as well, including with our pickleball friends, our historic preservation friends, a pool feedback as well, a number of other things that came about. In addition to this input as well, as you look at the next slide, we have also were assessing a number of offerings. This is where Jason worked with Kendall and the team to assess all the core program areas that staff currently run by, which are these 8 different program areas. And we also looked at documenting all the inventory that exists. So in addition to the programs, if you see the next slide, this is where we started documenting everything that the city has and the need that exists for the future based on the current and future offerings as well as population growth. So what you see here is the initial city inventory, the school inventory. What's in green is the recommended level of service, and the red ones then document where there are gaps or overlaps in many of the areas as well. So this is where you will see some of the key areas of need. Neighborhood parks was a consistent need. And we look at, several acres. This is over the next 10 years, 29 acres in the future. Trails are a need as well. We're still recommending for additional pickleball courts as well in the future, as well as possibly converting maybe one unfenced dog park to a fenced dog park, and then indoor aquatic as well as recreation space. Both are important needs for the future as well. And as I show you in the later slides, you will see this is as a combination of a number of different factors, both from the trends, obviously a lot of public input today as well, and the survey results, as well as the priority investments that you can see from the survey findings. Now, this is, of course, only talking about the quantity. So the next slides, we also develop equity maps, and these give you a sense of equity of access. This is just an example, but in this case, you can see for playgrounds, these are the different playgrounds that currently exist. The different colors indicate the city versus the school, and the rings document the actual service area. So now you can very clearly see where are there gaps, where are there overlaps, and as you look at playgrounds, clearly there's a lot more overlap. If you see the next map for a second, this is where you can see there are gaps because the primary service area is Hillendale, as a number of you mentioned. Now, of course, this isn't documenting the quality of what exists, right? So as I hear from a number of you, while you may have courts there, maybe they aren't at the condition you would want. So that's another factor as well in terms of quantity, plus the condition, plus the equity of access, all put together to create this. So one last map after this, another sample as well, if you see, is the trails map. And here's where you can see in terms of creating true connectivity between the different providers to create walkability and access, where might we see gaps and overlaps as well for trails? So in addition to the actual quantity or the level of service, this is a really important tool, and we will have maps in the report for every amenity type, all sorts of sports courts, playgrounds, parks, etc. So then as the city makes decisions for the future, whether it's development, whether it's partnerships, whether it's land acquisition, the maps can at least better identify where the gaps lie. So in addition to this then, with Kendall and the team as well, in the next slide you'll see we got into the visioning portion as well. And that was driven by the priority investment ratings first. So these investment ratings are based on the survey data and look at a combination of what is important to the community, what is a need, and from there, what is a true unmet need. And so that's really where you need to be thinking of, what is it that the community has a need for that is not met? What are things that are important to them? And the true combination of things that are important that are still unmet, that's what rises to the top. So you see a lot of trails, water access as well is really important, open space, parks, etc. Are key priority investments from a facility amenity standpoint. And then the next slide will show you the same thing from a program standpoint as well. And this is where it's interesting, as a number of you, talked about as well, we think fitness and wellness too. Adult fitness and wellness and senior fitness and wellness are two of the 5 highest priorities for investment. In addition to that, and this is no surprise, we see that all over the place, but farmers market, special events, cultural events, etc., are also among the top 5 highest priorities. So this is what staff had kept in mind. This is what was reflective of the community's input that then led to, and of course a dog park as well was higher priority in the amenity ratings. This all led to the visioning process. And as you see on the next slide here, looking in terms of the core values first, and if you can just click through these, Corey, please. Staff talked about being collaborative, engaged, respectful, transparent, and servant leaders. And this is how they would want to engage and do things going forward, with the intent that on the next slide, you see the vision of what do we want to be known for. And the vision is to be an inclusive, sustainable, and impactful agency. The ultimate piece, which is the mission, on the next slide, in the simplest way, talks about serving the community. And this is really where, as opposed to a larger word salad of a whole bunch of different things, staff distilled it down to its very essence to say, this is what we exist to do, and the values will guide how we do it. So the last couple of pieces here, before we go to the next slide, this was then transferred into the major outcomes to say, what are some of the things that we hope to achieve as an outcome of this plan in the next 5 to 10 years, and then the actual implementation steps along the way. The CIP is being worked upon, and Kendall can speak to that after this as well. So a lot of the individual items, because this is a system-wide plan and not a site-specific plan, a number of the individual things at different sites will be part of the CIP. This will focus more on the higher level amenities and items we have as well. So now, if you please look at the next slide, this is where you can see the big moves, starting with exploring diverse revenue opportunities. There isn't one single amenity or way to address future needs, as much as a combination of all these different ones as well that can be looked at. But it has to start with a citywide fiscal policy for dedicated funding, advertising, sponsorships, grants, possibly a bond or a levy, park utility fees, updating the SDCs, fees and charges. All of these combined are going to be helpful. And of course, as you add more amenities, as the department offers more programs, there has to be a commensurate growth in the level of service from the staff, both in terms of retaining the ones you have, but also in terms of recruiting future staff and succession planning, so the institutional knowledge, the experience you have is retained. You are a historic city, and that's a great thing. At the same time, as you know, that also comes with aging infrastructure. And that's why the maintenance strategy is going to be important, a maintenance management plan. Kendall and his team is already, sort of working towards that with the facility division to manage the future, capital improvement facility park needs as well. In addition to that, we find a lot of park and rec agencies typically don't do a great job telling their own story despite all the impact they have. And in this case, a dedicated marketing and branding plan and strategy, having maybe even its own department's brand as well in addition to the city. And then lastly, looking at a couple of major amenities here, a master and business plan for the EOT, also for the cemetery, and some way to address the situation with the pool is going to be important, and some major outcomes as a result of this. So this is a 5 to 10 year plan. So in terms of the immediate next steps within the next year or soon after, the last slide here talks about some of the key things we recommend that the department and city look at, starting with the master and a business plan for EOT and the cemetery, a feasibility study for the pool to better understand what makes the most sense. Is it expanding where you are? Is it on the location? Are there partners? And what else could possibly be done from that standpoint? Obviously, there's a parallel report happening as well. So SDCs that come about as a result of the park SDCs will need to be updated as well. A fee assessment too, a bond referendum, and public-private partnership. Those were some of the key implementation steps we think about as well as a part of this. And really, as we think of next steps from here, if you look at the last slide, it's looking at, obviously the PRAC, the commission feedback. It's the draft report that's with the city manager's office currently. Kendall's reviewed that as well. Another presentation to the community and the adoption of the final plan. So those are the quick findings, the high-level priorities, the major recommendations, and the funding strategies and big moves that we've looked at as well. I appreciate y'all being patient with the sound and all around, but I'm happy to answer questions or any feedback. And I know most of the PRAC has already seen this, but I'd love to hear from everyone else as well who may have questions or comments. And Corey, thank you for helping move this along.
Yes.
Okay, so right now I'll entertain some questions from the committee. Tim?
Yeah, I guess my first question on this, and of course I know we've reviewed this before, is we talk a lot about a final plan and PRAC feedback to get to that plan, but all we've seen so far is findings contributing towards that plan. What is the timeline for getting to that final plan, and will PRAC get a chance to view that?
Yes, PRAC will get a chance to view that. Our next step, and this is where I was going to talk about our capital improvement plan, because that's a big piece of this moving forward. So it's going to be very important that we understand when we're looking at this capital improvement plan that the hope is to address some of the feedback that we've gotten from the community with some of these projects. But then the conversation then will go into how do we get there? How do we look at alternative funding? Or what's the direction we want to take moving forward? And so the next step for us, we've had some conversations this week individually with PRAC members and city commissioners. And what we'd like to propose is the next step is bringing the capital improvement plan back to PRAC and the City Commission during a joint work session, actually going through these projects, having some conversation about how we got to the projects that we're proposing, what they're tied to, future trends, levels of service, community values, or strategic priorities. So there can be some level of consensus on the list of projects that we have, and then have conversation about what are some ways where we can fund this? And then we're going to bring some examples of what some other jurisdictions are doing to provide some level of a framework of how they've been able to fund some of their big capital projects and some of the costs associated with these things. Because when we're looking at the numbers, we can't be all things to all people. So having a clear understanding from PRAC, the City Commission, the community, what are the priorities? Well, where should we be focusing moving forward is going to be key because we want this to be a plan that we can implement. And obviously, like Nilay said, this is a 5 to 10 year plan, but without the proper funding, we won't be able to move a lot of these projects forward, so.
Awesome, thank you.
So is there a way, or will the plan address a way to kind of correlate things like adult fitness and wellness programs in the recreation side? How can that kind of be combined and correlated into the CIP? Is there a way to kind of demonstrate, there's a million things, and pickleball is a classic example
right.
of where it might not be a specific item on the wish list from the first survey, but clearly it's both a program and a need. And so will the plan be able to address kind of how that correlates so that, pickleball courts end up in a capital improvement program,
Right.
but it's not because everybody on the survey said we want pickleball, but clearly adult fitness and recreation programs is the second highest priority.
Right.
So how will that work?
Now, when it comes to programs, I think what we can do on our end is we can bring information to the table to talk about this is what we're offering, this is what we're planning to offer moving forward, because obviously we like to expand our programming. And then we're also pursuing opportunities through collaboration to offer more of these programs. So we're looking at doing that, and we're implementing plans already to expand this, because once we heard this information, obviously we're going to try to address what we have, and there's some things that we can start working on right now.
Exactly.
So this isn't going to limit us from moving forward. So we can bring some of that information forward about our programming and what we offer, and get some feedback from the community, from PRAC, on if they see any other areas that they deem that we need to continue to pursue.
And then kind of along those lines, when you talk about programming, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a city-run program, right?
Yeah.
Just so that people understand that there's a lot of other providers that we want to cooperate with.
Yep, okay. That's true.
Right, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
I guess I just have one follow-up.
Okay.
So the only follow-up that I have, and we had talked about it in the meeting prior, and you might have referenced it. So one of the goals when I'm looking at this is making sure priorities match with budget, that the needs that are identified from using this group to give us this is going towards that. So are you saying in the future we're going to be meeting with City Council to have a collaborative work group for that, and that's where those conversations will happen? Or what is the step that makes sure that priorities and where we're getting all this funding to go to are matching?
That's where, when we have that joint work session, when we're talking about the capital improvement plan, and then the hope is to be able to have a better understanding of how SDCs are going to be matched to these capital projects. And currently, what we have this list being reviewed by our SDC consultant, and they're working on that as we speak.
And just so I was just gonna explain that. So you've heard a lot of acronyms, and so SDCs are the systems development charges, and basically that is a fee that goes on to the building permit for each new residential unit. And Oregon City actually has a commercial component to the SDC, but there's I think 4 major components: water, streets, sewer, and parks are authorized by the state to charge SDCs. So it's a charge and a fee that's based on every new building. So so that helps, but it doesn't fund everything.
Right.
So it's just one more pocket. Aaron?
I just wanted to comment that I jumped on that website that was displayed, the orcityparksandplay.org. I was really impressed by the site and the information that was on there. So kudos to everyone involved in that. And I was also excited to see the use of paved trails and how high up that went on folks' radar. So I assume that would be part of the rest of the conversations. And I'm brand new to PRAC, so you probably already talked about this before, but I like the balance of talking about programming, but also about nature and trail work at the same time.
Great, thank you. Well, seeing no other raised hands, I think we can conclude that portion of the agenda and move on.
Thank you, Neely. Enjoy your
Thank you,
flight.
everybody.
Thanks, Neely. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy spring break.
Bye now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we are up for our general business. So we have a discussion of spring and summer programming and events. So Melissa?
Here it is.
get out of here. I don't know why it does this every time.
Great, awesome. Well, thank you, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. For those that don't know me, I'm Melissa Sebastian, the Aquatic and Recreation Manager, and I am privileged to be here tonight to talk to you guys about upcoming spring and summer programs and events, as well as a brief overview of some of the programs that we do year-round. So I do want to start off by giving an overview of a lot of the programs that take place on the aquatic and recreation side that I get to manage. First is the aquatic side. So I know on the topic of adult fitness, the swimming pool provides a lot of that. We have drop-in lap swims, we have water fitness classes, we have independent workout times where people can just come in and walk around the swimming pool, do aqua jogging, do their own independent physical therapy needs that they need to do. So that's a big area that we serve there. We also, and this is tied to the recreation side as well, we have yoga classes that take place in the community room at the pool, as well as stretching and toning classes in the morning, and those are all covered under our memberships now that we have. We have a swimming lesson program that we run, and that's year-round as well as in the summer. It really is going to pick up significantly in the summer. We almost quadruple the amount of lessons that we offer in the summer compared to the school year, as well as we have adult learn to swim programs. April is Adult Learn to Swim Month, and so that's specifically geared towards adults who may not have ever learned how to swim or may have a fear of the water, to make sure that they can learn those skills, especially if they're trying to pass down that skill to their own kids. And then we offer space for swim clubs. We have 4 swim clubs that use the facility. One is a year-round club, one is a private school that's in Oregon City, and then 2 of them are high schools. We have recreation and family swims. We offer facility rentals for people to book their birthday parties or end of the year soccer club, get-togethers and things like that. For recreation, we offer a year-round indoor playground, and that's offered in the fall, winter, and spring. We pause it in the summer because the next thing on the list is our seasonal camps, which we offer winter break, spring break, as well as all summer long. And one of the camps takes place in the community room space and the grass space that's tied to the swimming pool facility. And then the adult fitness I mentioned earlier. And then with the Francis Ermatinger House Museum that I manage, we have a pretty robust field trip program that we have been developing over the last couple of years, and that has grown significantly there. We offer tours and different heritage information every Friday and Saturday from 10 to 4. And then we have an Adopt an Artifact program that we run where people can adopt an artifact, and then they get a little fun sheet about that. And then on the event side, as far as what we do in these 3 areas, the aquatics, we do a Halloween swim that we call a swamp swim. We do a glow swim series throughout the year. You can see a photo there of the lights kind of dimmed and the underwater lights on and some disco lights. We do that October through March every year, once a month. We do a swimming pool Easter egg hunt, which we just did last week because Easter is very early this year. And then we host about 6 to 10 swim meets each year, whether that's the high school meets or our club teams. For recreation, we do the daddy-daughter dinner dance. We started doing the Spring Forward event with that we did last month. And then the big one for us this past year and hopefully into the future is our cultural event series that we've been able to partner on. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation, as well as concerts and movies in the park. The Ermatinger House, we have as you can see, a pretty large series of events there. we do Heritage Days. We usually do some sort of a Halloween event, lantern tours. We did a murder mystery event. We always do something for Veterans Day, something to honor Oregon's birthday. We've done a military arms display. We do something for historic preservation every year, which takes place, or that month is in May. And then this past year, we started a new program that was a Sensory Santa event at the Ermitinger House, which is essentially an event for youth that may have some overstimulation, like, that may not be able to feel comfortable in mall settings, to be able to come to a quieter space and get to meet Santa, and we plan to do that in the future. And then I do want to mention with the Ermitinger House and all these events and the programs that we're able to offer, we're really able because, we only have a half-time programmer that's dedicated to that site. We really rely heavily on our partnership with the Friends of the Ermitinger House. And so they do a lot of work to help us get these events and programs, especially the field trips. And we will be renewing the MOU that we have with them for the next few years and are really looking forward to that partnership that we have with them. As far as spring and summer, which is the season we're heading in, we're really pretty knees deep in our field trip programming at the Ermitinger House. We have over 300 students that we already have scheduled to come through this spring, and we anticipate that number is going to grow. Just based off of the timing of when people were booking those field trips last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we were able to double that somehow this year, but it's all gonna, again, be depending on, the volunteers we have and staff capacity and all of that. We're doing our Adult Learn to Swim next month because it's Adult Learn to Swim month. And then in the summer, we offer a summer rec swim team, which is essentially a program for youth that may not want to commit to a year-long club team to be able to try it out one summer and see if that's a sport that they want to commit, just because that is something that typically takes place year-round versus seasonally. And then the camps that I mentioned, we've had spring break camp this week. It has been crazy at the swimming pool this week, and it will be again this summer. We will be offering camps for anywhere from the ages of 4 to 12. And then we also have a junior camp counselor program that will be opening up applications for that soon, and that is for ages 13 to 17. So essentially youth that have gone through our camps that really want to stay in it, and an opportunity for them to come and volunteer within our camps and kind of learn about that job and build some job skills with that and get some volunteer opportunity with that. And then our camps will take place at Rivercrest Park. We're able to use the Pioneer Center, the basement and grass space there, and then at the swimming pool in our community room and grass space. For all the events that are coming up, we just had our Easter egg hunts last week. In April, our next cultural event that we are partnering on, and kind of like what I've stated in previous meetings, this is a series that has been a true partnership. We're just a little piece to the puzzle that makes these happen. It's really been, partnership of Soul Flags Art Community Center, the school district. One of our community members, Heidi Blackwell, has really been the driving force of a lot of these. So I want to make sure to give recognition to everyone involved with that. The MENA Heritage Festival is for the Middle East and North African cultures, and it will be, if you've been able to attend any of the other ones, or if you haven't, I really encourage you to attend these, just because it really, truly is a really, a really great way to see more people in our community. And there'll be entertainment, food, youth activities, all sorts of stuff. And then that will be hosted at the Pioneer Community Center, which we've been really grateful to Cecily and her team in letting us be able to host those events there. The Ukrainian Festival will be the last festival of the cultural event series, and that's going to be on Saturday, May 11th from 12 to 3. That will be hosted at Gardner Middle School. And so I also encourage everyone to attend that. I'm not 100% sure of the details of that one, but I'm going to assume it'll, entail, some form of entertainment or, food and crafts and stuff like that. And then this year, I'm sure you've heard, we will be doing a July 4th event this year. It's going to be incorporated a little bit into our Concert in the Park series since it is on a Thursday, but there will be a laser light show and ceremony after that. And then concerts and movies, which I will go a little bit more into detail. Our Concerts in the Park, it'll start July 4th and it'll run for 7 weeks straight on Thursday nights at the end of the Oregon Trail, 6:30 to 8:30. We have a pretty great list of bands. We haven't officially put it out there because we are still looking at finalizing who our sponsors are for that event. We really like to announce, the list of all the bands and the people who are supporting that series all at once. And then Movies in the Park, that'll take place on the first 4 Fridays of August, and those are going to rotate. We're going to do them at Hillendale Park, Wesley Lynn Park, and the end of the Oregon Trail this year. And that people can still vote for what movies they want to see, and we should be announcing the winners of those, I believe, within the next couple of weeks. And then I just want to make sure to mention and note dates. April 3rd is when our scholarships for camps are due. I do want to, make note that just because we're saying April 3rd doesn't mean that if someone doesn't get it in by that date that we're not going to accept it. April 3rd is just kind of the date that we put out there to make sure that we have time to process applications so we can get the funds so people can register when our camps open for registration on April 10th. If we still have openings for camps, we'll still accept applications for people to get those costs covered. And then I put the Parks Foundation logo on this slide specifically because of those camp scholarships, because that foundation really helps support the funding to be able to offer those camps to people in the community. And last summer, I believe we were able to send a little over 30 people to a week of camps because of that, and hoping to be able to grow that number this year. The May 15th date has actually changed for summer swim lesson registration. It's going to be on May 29th. The reason why we're moving it to be later is because we recently found out that the trail news is getting mailed later, and it's really important to me that we're making sure that that date is after that gets into people's mailboxes, just because some people depend on that getting into their mailbox to know when to register. So it will be on May 29th at noon. And then June 24th is going to be the week that we kick off the summer pool schedule. Essentially, we wait till school gets out, and then we give ourselves a little bit of time to train all of our staff and make sure we're ready for that, just because once we open those doors, it's a lot of people coming through that facility. That is also our goal, to open the wading pool, though we may be able to do it earlier. It just depends on weather and chemicals and all of that. And then July 4th, that's going to be the date that starts our summer concert series. And then August 2nd is that first date for the Movies in the Park. And then I just wanted to, before I end this, make sure that I'm giving recognition to the team that really truly makes these programs and events possible, which is basically our aquatic team. So a lot of our lifeguards and our camp counselors and staff are the ones that are helping out with a lot of these events, and our Halloween events, and our swimming events, and our daddy-daughter dinner dance. And so I just want to make sure to recognize all the work that they're doing, just because these are the people that really make that possible. We were asked to, add a 4th of July event this year, and these are the staff that are stepping up to make that happen. So I really want to thank them for that. And then, other than that, I'll just open it up for questions or comments.
I have one. Do the other splash pads open at the same time, or do they try to open those differently?
I feel like I think those typically open after Memorial Day weekend, so they're usually earlier.
Yeah. Weather permitting. Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
Yes, you mentioned the laser light show. Does that mean for the 4th of July, there's no fireworks?
Correct. So instead of doing fireworks, it will be a laser light show. It'll be 15 minutes long. So if anyone, for anyone who was there for our 175th celebration, that was back in 2019, it'll be very similar to that, except different theme. So, yeah.
Right? Way better than the fireworks.
Great, thank you so much. I'd love to hear that.
I don't,
Yeah, go ahead.
Farmers market fall under your guys', because farmers market was a priority on the capital improvement program.
Yeah, we don't manage the farmers market. We do participate. And so when we did get that feedback about the farmers market, we did share that information with them. So, I mean, we would be interested if they're willing to pursue any kind of collaboration opportunities to help expand the farmers market. We're open to that. But I think there's probably a misunderstanding that people might think that we manage it, but we don't.
No, I understand that part, but they've moved to Clackamette Community College. So are you guys going to be working? That was as part of the priorities.
Right.
You guys had them as a higher priority program, so I'm not sure.
No, well, not at this time.
Yeah, and actually, it wasn't, it was just the survey of all of the important programs and activities that take place in Oregon City. It wasn't necessarily, so it was kind of one of those that just came up. So it didn't really, it rose to that occasion, but it wasn't a specific thing about the park master plan. It was just more of a general survey, and then that just showed up, which was interesting, but it is not a park program. Yes, please.
I'm going to speak into this so they can hear me. So
I'm having trouble hearing on Zoom what the inquiry was.
You might want to repeat.
Yeah, so it was asked, they recently signed up for our Silver and Fit program, and Hillendale Pickleball was listed there, and I believe that was one of the programs that we had done last summer. We had a staff member that was out there one day a week to set up nets to provide an opportunity for people that were members at the pool to come and play during that time.
So it's not valid anymore?
It's not going on right now, no.
You should take it off your website
Okay.
then.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I went to sign up, I saw that and I thought,
Okay. Thank you.
Erin has her hand raised.
Erin?
Yes, I just wanted to again offer just kudos and compliments. It looks like a really robust and fun schedule coming up. And I also wanted to say I totally am in support of waiting on those swim lesson pieces until it's mailed. I think that was a really wonderful thought that you had. I just wanted to offer that kudos, I guess. My question was, looking at other organizations you partner with, does the Parks Department ever partner with the Downtown Oregon City organization at all?
We haven't. I know at one point, the previous director and I had talked about, collaborating on a couple of events, specifically, some of like our, parent date night programs, or, people could, go dine down there and we can do our, camp programming for an evening. But with some of the transitions there, that, yeah, fell off the radar. Otherwise, we usually try to participate in a lot of their events. You know, for example, we're always at the First City Celebration offering games and activities in the kids zone there. So we do try to, yeah, do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Okay, next on the agenda is the Pioneer Center updates, and Cecily.
All right, thanks members of PRAC for having me tonight. My name is Cecily Rose and I am the manager of the Pioneer Community Center. That role also includes being the social service manager for the City of Oregon City. And it's an honor to be here tonight to speak about my favorite place, the Pioneer Adult Community Center. So for some of our members that are new to, of course, PRAC, I wanted just to give an update of who we are, what we do, and how and why we implement the services that we provide. And so we'll start with that. The Pioneer Community Center opened in 1979, and essentially what we do is we provide resources to community members, services, programming, and aid, and that comes in different ways. Our most prominent offerings, of course, are nutritional, educational, recreational, and social services to adults in our area, and our amazing staff works hard to provide those services to clients and provide tools for them to essentially stay healthy, active, and independent as they age, and that is truly our mission. This year, we actually celebrate 45 years of operation. Who we serve adults age 21 and over that are residing in or near Oregon City. We also serve adults residing in West Lynn as supported through our intergovernmental agreement, and that's going to come in the ways of transportation services as well as nutrition services, specifically with the Meals on Wheels program. We also serve seniors and people with disabilities residing throughout Clackamette County, which means they can come from any area, as supported through our subrecipient agreement with Clackamette County Social Services. Caring for the vulnerable in our community is highly important. For many of our clients, we provide the only meal or human contact that they are going to receive each day. This is why we focus so much time and energy and effort onto those services that we do provide. When I speak about the vulnerable, I thought I'd give some statistics to just tell you a little bit about what that means. These sources are cited at the bottom from Census.gov and Meals on Wheels America. But in Oregon, there are 107,166 seniors who are threatened by or are currently experiencing hunger or food insecurity. Oregon City alone is home to 5,428 seniors, and 10.2% of Oregon City residents have a disability. Oregon has over 100,000 seniors living below the poverty line, and Oregon City specifically has a poverty rate of 7.8%, with a total of 2,877 residents living in poverty. Seniors above age 85 are the fastest growing demographic, and so what that means is we are still experiencing more people aging into our demographic now than ever, and essentially that means our need for services is continuing to grow. 1 in 6 seniors are victims of financial exploitation, and the reason I put that in there is we're seeing an increase of this. Of course, that number was not that high years ago, with all of the fraud and the things that you're seeing really everywhere. We are seeing a lot of our clients coming in because of that specific reason. One question that gets brought up quite often, and so I jotted it down because I felt it important. Poverty line, of course, it changes every year, but as at the end of 2023, the definition of poverty from Oregon.gov was a one-person household, which is the majority of our seniors, not all of them, of course, with an income at or below $1,215 per month. So that gives you a little more perspective on what we're talking about with those poverty rates. The main services and programs that we provide at the Pioneer Center, I did touch on them a little bit, but I'm going to hit some just bullet points of what we actually did last year. So for our nutrition program, last year we provided 37,264 total meals for people that were unable to cook for themselves. For transportation, this program is quite robust. It actually does a little bit of everything. We're taking people to and from their doctor's appointments. Many of those are life-sustaining appointments. We're also taking people to get their groceries. Perhaps they're independent enough to live at home, but they no longer drive. Clearly, they need a food resource. There will be some recreational rides in this number as well, but those are going to be a lot lower than those more life-sustaining type rides. So last year, we provided 5,992 rides. That is a unit, which is a one-way ride. That's how we are required to document it through that county contract that we have. And again, those numbers are a reflection of transportation in both Oregon City and West Linn. We provide case management for those that don't know. Essentially, we're providing personalized based care for all of our Meals on Wheels clients. And we provided 288 hours of that service last year. Reassurance for us is well-being calls. Sometimes those can turn into formal welfare checks from authorities, police, fire, that sort of thing. But most of the time, we're checking in on the client. We're making sure that they're okay because for some reason we weren't able to deliver their meal or get a hold of them. And because of the way that we serve our clients, we don't just drop off a meal and not know how they are. Meals on Wheels is much more than a meal, of course. So that is part of the service that we provide, is that reassurance. And we're most known for the resources we provide. Our staff is excellent at providing avenues of care and service to people in need, and those can be any number of things. But the formal resources that we provided that were documented last year equated to 1,446 resources. While we provide hundreds of programs and services each year, we don't have time to talk about all of them, but I did want to highlight some of the main ones. These are things that happen daily, weekly, or monthly at our center. So for our miscellaneous social services, we regularly provide energy assistance, legal aid, support groups, tax aid, estate planning, foot care, pantry, Medicare, veterans benefits, and long-term care information and presentations. For recreational services, we currently have on our calendar line dancing, Latin dance, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, stretch and tone, bingo, ukulele, watercolor, writing. We do have a fitness room with the new addition of Silver Sneakers, Silver and Fit, Renew Active and Active and Fit, which is a wonderful, wonderful resource for our community. For those over the age of 65, many of them have this as part of their insurance benefit. There are some, of course, that might be like Medicaid clients that are under 60 that also have this opportunity. We provide many holiday events, parties and activities, day trips and outings. And in addition, there are, of course, seasonal and sporadic health, education, wellness programs that we offer at the center. How are we funded is a very valid question. I think this comes up quite often. We don't do it alone, of course. That's the main thing. The Pioneer Center is supported financially through the collective generosity of many organizations, individuals, and avenues. It looks like federal funding through the Older Americans Act. Of course, that subrecipient agreement that I mentioned before comes through the Clackamette County Social Services, and that's a reimbursement basis. So we don't get any funding from that unless we're providing a service, of course, and we talked about those earlier. We also have Medicaid contracts, so Title 19, and those would look like certain clients that the state is actually reimbursing us for taking care of their specific clients. We do, of course, receive funding from the City of Oregon City and the City of West Linn, as mentioned prior. We do have private and corporate donors and sponsors that support our efforts. Also local businesses and community groups that, help us in numerous ways. We do ask for a suggested donation on many of our services and programs, and so that's where you're seeing the participant donations come in. We also are happily accepting in-kind donations. Those can come in the form of many different things, whether, someone's buying us stamps or copy paper. And we have multiple fundraising efforts and events that we hold throughout the year. So when I was first asked to actually provide this presentation, a lot of what we were talking about is just what happens from the center during the holiday season. And so I wanted to make sure we did highlight that tonight. We see an abundance of generosity from the community, of course, pour out during the season. The holidays are also our busiest time of year. And what we do there is the center has a giving tree. Many of you have probably heard about it, even participated. We're so grateful for that. But it helps us to produce holiday gifts for every single client on the Meals on Wheels program. And of course, that's again for Oregon City and West Linn. We do have monetary donations that allow the center to host a very large holiday party for those that are able to attend. This year, and actually for numerous years, we've received enough poinsettias to be given to all of our nutrition clients, and those have been historically donated by Smith Gardens. We did hold a Spirit Week this year, and that included prizes and activities daily. That was very well attended, and we received wonderful feedback on. We do have volunteers that come in and, provide holiday music performances that are, of course, a big hit. And we had amazing generosity come through our pantry collection this year. We had the City of Oregon City staff actually choose the Pioneer Center to collect pantry donations. Those were canned goods, that sort of thing, non-perishable items, to then give back to our pantry that we have every Friday at our center. And again, the needs for that are just growing. So the food donations need to keep coming in because of the amount of people that are coming to that pantry. And of course, the community partners with us in those fundraising efforts. So during the holidays, we have a holiday bazaar, and we also do our holiday wreath sales. I love talking about volunteers because we cannot do the great work we do in the same way without them. The Pioneer Community Center currently has 95 active and vetted volunteers. All of our volunteers are completely background checked. We serve vulnerable people, like I mentioned. And so when I say vetted, that's what I'm talking about. Last year, volunteers provided 3,285 hours of service at the center. Those, of course, were just the documented hours. If somebody were to come in and serve and not jot it down, it doesn't get included in that. So I do know that that's probably a much smaller number than the actual thing that happened. This is a direct cost savings to the center in the amount of $106,335.45 because every penny counts. And currently our volunteers fill the following roles: Meals on Wheels drivers, receptionist assistants, nutrition servers, recreational program leaders, event support, dining room hosts, recreational trip escorts, legal aid experts, and community garden workers. So we do many other things at the center to help the community, and one of the things that I love about our center is the beautiful venue that it is. Melissa kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but we have a wonderful rental opportunity for our community members. It's very affordable. We do have this in our budget each year because it matters that, of course, we're giving back to the community in this way in a very affordable way, but also recouping some of our costs for building attendance and things like that. The Pioneer Center is a popular rental space for weddings, celebrations of life, reunions, anniversaries, quinceañeras, birthday parties, business meetings, club meetings, and more. One of the things that we've been able to do is really foster diversity, equity, and inclusion with the addition of the cultural events and activities. Melissa touched on some of those, and those are really collaborative efforts, as she mentioned, where our part at the Pioneer Center is really just being that venue. But we do have a beautiful venue for that, and we're excited about that. In addition, we are creating our own cultural events. It looked this year like Black History Month event, a lunch and learn. We're having multiple activities. So we're doing a series in regards to the Latin culture, and so we're excited about those. I would say the other ways that we are working on inclusion has to do with our ADA upgrades, and this last year we were able to replace all of our door hardware to be ADA accessible. Of course, with the aging community that we serve, having dexterity issues is common, and so that was a very exciting thing. In addition to that, we did our reception reconfiguration with ADA in mind, and so we have some accessibility improvements because of that project as well. We highlighted multiple special events and activities, but just like the programming slide, there's just hundreds to name. But I am excited about the increased activity. We've hired a rental and events coordinator, and what we've been able to do is really plan and project more offerings for our community, and you're going to see that in multiple ways, everything from birthday celebrations to holiday things to those cultural events that we talked about that we'll be doing on a regular basis. We also host many citywide events. So last year we got to host the citywide volunteer appreciation event. We are doing the same this coming year, and in addition to that, we partner with HR, for instance, and host awards luncheons. So it's a wonderful venue. We're excited to be able to offer that. Like Melissa mentioned, I too cannot do this work alone. We have an amazing team of staff, and I wanted to highlight them because of all the work that they do. I think what some people don't realize, we've been a center for a very long time, but we take care of people in their hardest times. We've talked about how we care for the vulnerable, but we are often dealing with people in major crisis situations. We're dealing with people who are walking through significant loss or grief. And my team of staff does it with absolute grace and dignity and professionalism. If you do not know them, I highly encourage you to pop by the center and meet them. They just blow me away every day with the amazing work that they do for this community and for those that we serve. And lastly, I just want to invite you to get involved. Of course, you can register for activities and programming. You can attend drop-in activities. We would love more volunteers. You can attend an event that we're hosting. We'd love you to partner or sponsor. And the last two things are to invite. So of course, we would encourage you to invite others. If you're already a participant, bring a friend with you. We would love to have more and more people come to the center, especially those that have needs, and educate others. We'd love to, we know that the number one thing still to this day, the best marketing that anybody can ever have is word of mouth. So we would love for you to also just educate, your neighbors, your friends, your community on what we do, who we serve, why we do it, and the importance of it. And does anybody have any questions for me?
I just have a comment, and I just want, excuse me, as a former Parks Director for West Lynn, and I think I've said this before, I can't stress how important that intergovernmental agreement and contract with West Lynn is, and it's a good example of government, trying to utilize what limited money there is on certain things, and so it avoided a lot of redundancy, and we're so close together, and it still is a good thing, and I think we're going on our 25th year now of that contract, and it's worked beautifully, and I still appreciate it, even though I don't work there anymore. So, so again, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
I just have one, and you mentioned it earlier, but I know a few months back you added in an event planner or an event staff member.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to some of that position's success recently? I know adding in a full-time position has been a big need of the center for a while. I'm just excited to see how that position's done so far.
Yeah, so Taylor Miller, and I think, you all got to meet him, hopefully, or at least watch back the meeting if you were absent. He's in a unique position because he works with Melissa as well, being the rental and events coordinator. He's obviously in charge of both of those aspects, and Melissa has been managing those events for some time. But he is shadowing her as much as he's learning and shadowing everything at the Pioneer Center. He's doing a fabulous job, and we're really excited. What I've seen is, of course, the transition period is not done yet. He's going to be learning the movies and parks this summer. He's very qualified. I have zero concerns. I feel like he could actually run with it and do great, but I think the kindest thing to do for him in his position is, of course, have him shadow Melissa and I through that process. But I would say from the Pioneer Center aspect, we're really seeing growth in our programming and in our activities and events because of that position. He actually brings such knowledge and skill sets in regards to that, that we're getting really creative. We've got Miss Oregon coming for Mother's Day. We've got just some really neat events, like nothing's off the table of the events and activities that perhaps we could do. he's also worked so well, as have I, for nonprofits and things like that. So we're able to do a lot of these new things without any cost to the city. And I think that's what's really fun for some of those events and activities on the smaller scale. But yeah, very, very actively working with Melissa and I both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment that I was talking to a friend last night and talking about the senior center in Oregon City, and she goes, well, where is that? Now, we're members of the Pink Church right across the street, and she just thought the Pioneer Center, and she didn't realize the Pioneer Center was the senior center. And it's true, you guys are so much more than just a senior center.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of the work that you do there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we are up to some other staff reports. So Tom, do you have a report for us?
I do, yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'll just highlight some projects that we did this past month. I'll start with kind of our infield renovation plan. So really working on our ball fields and improving the soil quality of those infields. We've completed that work at Chapin in coordination with the Oregon City Youth Sports. So that work is done. If you go out there and look at them, it actually turned out really nice. So we're really excited about that.
What did you do? Just incorporate turfs
So
or something?
we incorporated turfus. It's actually, I think, the first time our team has done that with those infields. So a new process for us, and we got to go out there and till that into the soil. And we've ordered a new drag mat so that we can be more consistent on that. And turned out really nicely. Great. So yeah, we've got Wesley Lynn coming up next. So probably next week, weather dependent. And that'll conclude our program for this season. And now we'll put those fields on a 3-year rotation where we're just consistently adding that soil amendment over time. I also wanted to highlight one that's probably not in the staff report because it was just done yesterday, which is at the Pioneer Center, partnering with them to improve the Peace Garden area. We planted about 40 native plants that are kind of designed to fit the sister city quality of that Peace Garden. So they have kind of a Japanese garden feel, but they're all native plants to Oregon. So you'll see some disturbed soil out there from where we planted those plants, and they will pop up here very shortly. And then I'll talk about some of our upcoming events for Arbor Day and Earth Month. We have 2 big days of events coming up in April. April 6th, we have 2 events going on. The first one is at Chapin Park, and that is the city's official Arbor Day event in partnership with Friends of Trees. There'll be the official city proclamation. The ceremonial tree planting will occur at that, and that is from 9 to 1. We invite you to come out and attend. I believe some members of the Natural Resources Committee will be there as well, and I believe the mayor will be in attendance to do the proclamation. At the same time, we've also got an ivy pull occurring in partnership with the Greater Oregon City Watershed Council, and that'll be at Atkinson Park from 9 to 12. And there's now a QR code sign out. I actually put it out today at the park. So folks can stop by, they can sign up, or they can go on to the website and sign up there. And then our second big day in April is going to be April 20th, and we have 2 events as well. One is the Singer Hill Creek Falls Ivy Pull, which is going to happen right down the street, and that is in partnership with our community, I can't remember what Hannah's title is now. Community engagement specialist. This is the first in her series of what she's calling Ivy League, which I love. So that'll be the first of that, and I believe that's in partnership with Oregon City Lions. And then we also have PGE, who's coming out to Old Kanema Park in partnership with Solve to do an Ivy pull out there on April 20th. And then last, I'll just conclude with just wanted to say thank you to Emily and Melissa for meeting with our team to talk about the pollinator garden at the pool and extend an invitation to anyone if they want to go kind of walk that site and get a feel for what we're thinking. We're going to look at doing a fall enhancement project so that we can kind of get into the rainy season and give those plants a good season to grow.
So how would we go about
you can just reach out to me directly through email, and we can schedule a site walk and go take a walk.
Okay, great. Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Now we have member reports. Tim.
I've got a few out there. Really, it's just mainly all Melissa right now because I feel like I've been living at the pool the last week. My son has been in spring camp and she described it as chaos with all the kids. I would say it's a very excellent chaos and he's can't wait to go to sleep every night because of how much fun he's having there. So I think that that's been an excellent resource to the community. I also have him in individual swim lessons, which has been excellent. He's had one instructor who's a little bit newer, who's been awesome. And then also group swim with my daughter, who is 3, who never wants to leave the pool. So, and they've been very helpful if she runs into the women's locker room because I don't go in there and it's a little bit of chaos. But your staff's been excellent at the pool for a variety of events. So I want to comment on that. I wanted to touch on pickleball a little bit because I did go by the Hillendale courts twice. It was very active both times. The club that was there was excellent and welcoming. Me and my son were able to check it out, and I wanted to look at the specific site and see the community that was there. And you can tell it's a lot of fun to see the group kind of interact and to have that in Oregon City. It's something that I struggled to find before, but it was fun to find the court and see that community thriving there. I went back 2 other times when the club wasn't there and there were other people there playing basketball. I did find one people playing tennis. I know that was commented on earlier. It did happen. They're the first people I've ever seen playing tennis in Oregon City, so I made sure to note that. But it was a fun place just to see myself because I hadn't interacted as much, and I just wanted to make a comment on that.
Anybody else? Well, I think that concludes our meeting for tonight then. And so with that, I'll just adjourn it. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Thank you.